Ryan's office revenge.
You're fired and under investigation for industrial espionage. Cordelia Thornfield's voice cut through the boardroom like a power surge through unprotected circuits. 23 pairs of eyes turned toward me, including 3 from the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission who'd flown in from D.C. specifically for this quarterly review. I'm Garrett Sheffield, 47, and I've been keeping America's lights on for 19 years. Senior Grid Architect at Apex Energy Solutions, responsible for the Phoenix Grid, 847 substations across 8 western states, serving 32 million people. When your air conditioner kicks on in Phoenix or your electric car charges in Denver, there's a decent chance my code is making sure the electrons flow where they need to go. But sitting in that mahogany paneled boardroom, watching Cordelia's perfectly manicured finger point at me, like I was some kind of terrorist, all that expertise suddenly felt like voltage running through a broken circuit. Mr. Sheffield, she continued, her Harvard MBA apparently not covering the concept of due process, has been in unauthorized contact with representatives from Grid Technologies. We have documented evidence of proprietary system specifications being transmitted to foreign entities. The voltmeter pen in my shirt pocket, my nervous habit for the past decade, stayed perfectly still. When you work with high voltage systems long enough, you learn to keep your movements controlled. Sudden gestures can be fatal. That's a serious allegation, said Commissioner Bradley from FERC, his government-issued tie askew from the morning's plant tour. Do you have documentation? Preston Thornfield, CEO and Cordelia's husband, slid a manila folder across the polished table. Trust fund baby who inherited the company from his father never spent a day in the field. Couldn't tell a transformer from a transmission line if his life depended on it. The guy probably thought a megawatt was some kind of power tool. Email logs, file access records, even recorded phone conversations. Preston said, his voice carrying that particular confidence that comes from never having to actually prove your competence. Mr. Sheffield has been systematically compromising our infrastructure designs. I touched the voltmeter pen. The familiar weight usually helped me think through complex load calculations. This time it was calculating something different entirely. The evidence is fabricated, I said quietly. No point in getting loud when you're dealing with a short circuit. Every system access is logged with biometric verification. Every external communication goes through encrypted company channels. If there's documentation showing otherwise, someone created it. Cordelia's smile had all the warmth of a dead short. Security will escort you out immediately. Your access cards, company devices, and any materials related to the Phoenix Grid are to be surrendered. Given the national security implications, we've already contacted the appropriate federal agencies. The 3 FERC commissioners exchanged glances. Commissioner Bradley looked like he'd just watched a transmission line come down in a windstorm. Mrs. Thornfield, given the critical nature of the Phoenix Grid, perhaps we should discuss transition protocols. Already handled. Preston interrupted. Bryce Dalton from our operations team will assume Mr. Sheffield's responsibilities. The transition will be seamless. Bryce Dalton? Good kid. Fresh from Georgia Tech, understood the theoretical concepts. But understanding grid theory and maintaining grid stability are like understanding automotive engineering versus actually driving in a blizzard at 70 miles per hour. The Phoenix Grid wasn't a textbook problem. It was 19 years of accumulated knowledge, workarounds, and hidden vulnerabilities that existed in exactly one place, my head. And in about 72 hours, they were going to find that out the hard way. See, here's what they didn't know. When you've watched one blackout cascade across the eastern seaboard because someone missed a single relay protection setting, you develop what we call defense in depth. The Phoenix Grid had multiple redundancy systems, fail-saves, and emergency protocols. Standard stuff that any competent engineer would implement. What wasn't standard was the dead man switch I'd installed 18 months ago. Not because I was planning some elaborate revenge fantasy. Because I'd seen too many critical systems get handed off to people who thought grid management meant adjusting the brightness on their phone. The dead man switch was simple. Every 72 hours, I had to enter a specific authentication sequence, or the grid would automatically transfer to what we called conservative mode. Load shedding, reduced capacity, minimal risk of cascading failures, safe but expensive. Very expensive. I stood up slowly. The way you move around energized equipment, I'll need to speak with legal before surrendering any materials. There are NERC compliance issues, federal regulations regarding critical infrastructure. Security is waiting outside. Cordelia cut me off. This meeting is over. The escort was professional but firm. 2 guards in cheap suits who probably thought a megawatt was some kind of power tool. They watched me clean out my desk, confiscate my laptop, and deactivate my access cards. Standard corporate termination protocol, executed by people who had no idea they'd just removed the one person who could prevent a regional blackout. The irony wasn't lost on me. They were so worried about me compromising the grid, they'd just compromised it themselves. I drove home in my pickup truck, a 2018 Ford F-150 that I'd paid off 2 years early, thinking about what came next. My house sits on a quiet street in Colorado Springs. Nothing fancy, but it's mine. No mortgage, no car payments, no debt. When you spend your career managing systems that can't afford to fail, you tend to apply the same philosophy to your personal finances. I sat in my kitchen with a beer and my personal laptop. Not the company-issued machine they'd confiscated, but my own system with enough processing power to run grid simulation software. The first call was to Miranda Cross, the best energy law attorney in Colorado. Miranda had handled my divorce 3 years ago, knew enough about my work to understand the stakes. They terminated you during a federal compliance review. Miranda's voice carried the incredulity of someone who'd seen corporate stupidity but never quite at this level. Garrett, that's career suicide. FERC takes grid stability seriously, especially post-Texas freeze. It gets worse, I said, pulling up the Phoenix Grid monitoring interface on my laptop. My personal access, the one tied to my professional certifications, not company employment, still worked. They've assigned grid management to someone with 18 months experience, and there's something else. I explained the dead man's switch. Miranda was quiet for a long moment, probably calculating the legal implications of what I just told her. How long until it activates? I checked the countdown timer displayed on my screen. 67 hours, 14 minutes. Can you override it remotely? Not without company system access. The authentication requires physical presence at the primary control room and biometric verification. Another pause. Garrett, if that grid goes into conservative mode during peak summer loading, rolling blackouts across 8 states, estimated cost of $3.2 billion for the first week alone, and that's assuming no cascading failures. You built a dead man's switch into critical infrastructure. I built a safety protocol into critical infrastructure. There's a difference. The distinction mattered. What I'd installed wasn't sabotage. It was the electronic equivalent of a pressure relief valve. When things got too dangerous, the system would automatically reduce risk, even if it meant reduced capacity. Any competent grid operator would understand the logic. Unfortunately, Apex Energy didn't have any competent grid operators anymore. The next 48 hours felt like watching a slow-motion car accident. Local news picked up the story. Senior engineer terminated amid espionage investigation. Channel 7 ran a segment with a reporter standing outside our facility, using words like national security threat and foreign infiltration. The financial markets noticed too. Apex Energy stock dropped 11% as investors tried to figure out what national security implications meant for a power company. I monitored the grid status from home, watching load factors and system stability through my professional certification access. Everything looked normal. Peak summer demand, but well within operational parameters. For now, my ex-wife called that evening. Sarah and I had been married for 12 years before we figured out we were better as friends than spouses. She's a nurse at Memorial Hospital, works the night shift in the emergency department. Garrett, I saw the news. Are you okay? I'm fine. Just some corporate politics gone sideways. They're saying you were selling secrets to China. They're saying a lot of things. Most of them are lies. Sarah knew me well enough to hear what I wasn't saying. What aren't you telling me? I looked at the countdown timer on my laptop screen. 43 hours, 22 minutes. Just that it's going to get interesting before it gets better. Interesting how? The kind of interesting that makes the evening news. She was quiet for a moment. Should I be worried? About me? No. About having a flashlight and some extra batteries? Probably a good idea. The call came at 11:47 p.m. on the second night. Bryce Dalton, sounding like a man who just realized he was in over his head. Mr. Sheffield? Sir, I'm sorry to bother you, but we're seeing some anomalies in the grid management system. There's a countdown timer that appeared this afternoon, and I can't figure out what it's counting down to. What does it say? 18 hours, 32 minutes. And there's a message that says authentication required for continued operation. I've tried everything, password resets, system reboots, even called IBM support. Nothing works. I looked out my kitchen window at the lights of Colorado Springs twinkling in the distance. 32 million people going about their evening routines, completely unaware that their electricity was about to become a very expensive lesson in corporate incompetence. Bryce, you need to call Preston Thornfield right now. Tell him the Phoenix Grid is going into emergency conservation mode in 18 hours unless I'm allowed to complete the authentication sequence. Sir, I don't understand. What authentication sequence? The one I installed to prevent unqualified personnel from destroying critical infrastructure. There was a long pause. Mr. Sheffield, are you saying you sabotaged our system? I'm saying I protected it. Same thing I've been doing for 19 years. The next morning, my phone rang at 6:23 a.m. Preston Thornfield no longer sounding quite so confident. "Sheffield, what the hell did you do to our grid?" "I protected it," I said, sipping coffee from my favorite mug. "A gift from the National Grid Reliability Conference 2019. Same thing I've been doing for 19 years. There's some kind of countdown timer. Our people can't override it. That's because your people don't have authorization. Only I do. This is sabotage. I'm calling the FBI, please do. Make sure you mention that you fired the grid architect during a federal compliance review and handed critical infrastructure management to someone with less experience than a community college intern." Preston hung up. My phone immediately rang again. This time it was Agent Sloan Fitzgerald from the FBI's Critical Infrastructure Protection Unit. "Mr. Sheffield, we need to talk." 2 hours later, I was sitting in the FBI's Denver field office explaining grid architecture to 3 agents who looked like they'd rather be chasing bank robbers. The conference room smelled like stale coffee and government-issued anxiety. "So this dead man switch," Agent Fitzgerald said, consulting his notes, "it's not actually a weapon, it's a safety protocol, correct? When activated, the grid shifts to conservative operational mode, reduced load capacity, increased safety margins, minimal risk of cascading failures. But it would cause blackouts, rolling blackouts, controlled, temporary, with advance warning to critical facilities like hospitals and emergency services. Much better than uncontrolled cascading failures that could last weeks." Agent Fitzgerald nodded slowly. He was maybe 40, looked like he'd spent time in the military before joining the Bureau. At least he understood the concept of defensive measures. "And the espionage allegations?" I slid a folder across the table. Complete communication logs from my personal devices. Every email, every phone call, every text message for the past 6 months. I've also prepared a detailed technical analysis showing how the fabricated evidence was created. The evidence was beautiful, really. Simple digital forensics that any competent investigator could follow. The fabricated emails had metadata inconsistencies. The recorded phone conversations had audio artifacts that proved they'd been edited. The file access logs showed entries during times when I was provably elsewhere, backed up by security cameras and credit card transactions. Someone had gone to a lot of trouble to frame me. Someone with enough technical knowledge to create convincing fake evidence, but not quite enough to make it perfect. "There's something else," I said, producing a second folder, financial records showing unusual international wire transfers from Apex Energy accounts, payments to shell companies with connections to foreign technology firms. Agent Fitzgerald opened the folder, his expression growing increasingly interested as he scanned the documents. "Where did you get this?" "Public records mostly. SEC filings, international banking records, available through FOIA requests. When you actually look for real financial crimes, they're not that hard to find. I'd spent the past 48 hours doing what I do best, analyzing systems and finding the weak points. Apex Energy's financial system had more holes than a substation after a lightning strike. Wire transfers to companies that existed only on paper. Invoices for services never delivered. Consulting fees paid to entities with no apparent expertise, and all of it traceable back to accounts controlled by Cordelia Thornfield. "Mr. Sheffield," Agent Fitzgerald said, "we're going to need you to walk us through this analysis. But first, about this countdown timer." I checked my watch. 11 hours, 47 minutes until activation. "Can you stop it?" "Not remotely. The authentication protocol requires physical presence at the primary control room, biometric verification in a specific sequence that only I know, and if you don't, 32 million people find out what happens when you put unqualified people in charge of critical infrastructure." The agent's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, then looked up with a grimmer expression. "Mr. Sheffield, I just got word that Apex Energy's stock is down 23% and the Department of Energy is asking questions. How serious are the potential consequences?" "Serious enough that hospitals are already switching to backup power. Serious enough that the mayor of Phoenix is calling for emergency preparedness briefings. Serious enough that your boss is probably getting calls from people who don't usually call the FBI unless democracy is ending." Agent Fitzgerald closed his notebook. "We need to move fast on this investigation. I know, that's why I documented everything." The countdown timer hit 0 at 3:17 p.m. on a Tuesday afternoon. I was back in the FBI's Technical Operations Center, watching the Phoenix grid status displays alongside a room full of federal agents and Energy Department officials. The transition was exactly as designed, controlled, gradual, and safe and expensive. The first rolling blackouts started in Phoenix at 3:45 p.m. 20-minute intervals rotating through different districts to prevent system overload. Traffic lights went dark in coordinated patterns. Strip malls lost power in sequence. Residential neighborhoods found themselves cycling between electricity and emergency conservation mode. By 4:30 p.m., similar patterns were rolling across Nevada, Colorado, and New Mexico. The grid was protecting itself the only way it knew how, by reducing demand to safe levels, even if it meant inconveniencing millions of people. The financial markets noticed immediately. Apex Energy stock went into free fall, down 34% by market close. Emergency power companies saw their shares skyrocket as industrial customers scrambled for backup generation. Airlines started canceling flights as airports switched to limited operations.
My phone rang at 5:15 p.m.
Preston Thornfield sounding like a man watching his inheritance evaporate in real time. Sheffield, turn it off. Whatever you want, just turn it off. Can't do that from here, I said truthfully. Grid control requires physical presence and biometric authentication. Then get down here. Now. We'll give you whatever you want, your job back, a raise, stock options. I'm currently in federal custody, pending investigation of the espionage charges your wife filed against me. We can drop those charges. You can't drop federal charges, Preston. Only the FBI can do that. Agent Fitzgerald looked up from his computer screen. Mr. Sheffield, I think you'll be interested to know that we've traced those international wire transfers. Mrs. Thornfield has been receiving payments from Sinogrid Technologies for the past 18 months. The room went quiet except for the humming of government computers and the distant sound of phones ringing in other offices. Someone from the Department of Energy was on a conference call with utility executives across the western states, coordinating emergency response procedures. How much? I asked. $2,030 million, spread across 6 different accounts, all tied back to shell companies she established in Delaware and the Cayman Islands. I thought about Cordelia pointing that manicured finger at me, accusing me of espionage while she'd been selling actual infrastructure secrets for over a year. The hypocrisy would have been funny if it wasn't putting millions of people at risk. Agent Fitzgerald, I said, I think you'll want to move fast on this. Because if the grid stays in conservation mode much longer, we're looking at economic damage that makes corporate fraud seem like pocket change. How long can the system maintain this mode? Indefinitely. But every day costs the regional economy about $480 million. And if we get a heat wave or equipment failure while running at reduced capacity, I shrugged. Let's just say brownouts are a lot more manageable than total blackouts. The next morning, the FBI arrested Cordelia and Preston Thornfield on charges of bribery, money laundering, and conspiracy to defraud the United States government. Turns out selling American infrastructure designs to foreign companies is exactly the kind of espionage they'd been so worried about. I was cleared of all charges and reinstated with full authority over the Phoenix grid. The authentication sequence took exactly 4 minutes to complete, and the grid returned to normal operation by 11:30 a.m. The board of directors met in emergency session that afternoon. With both the CEO and his wife in federal custody, they needed someone who could actually run the company, someone who understood both the technical challenges and the regulatory environment, someone who wouldn't sell infrastructure secrets to foreign governments for pocket change. They offered me the position of Chief Infrastructure Officer, with operational authority over all grid management systems across the western region. The salary was $340,000, a 127% increase from my previous position, plus stock options, plus a seat on the technical advisory board, plus the kind of job security that comes from being the only person who actually knows how to keep the lights on. I accepted the transition took 3 weeks. 3 weeks of congressional hearings, regulatory reviews, and media interviews where I had to explain grid management to reporters who thought load balancing was something you did at the gym. The story had everything journalists love: corporate corruption, foreign espionage, critical infrastructure, and a regular guy who outsmarted the system. CNN ran a segment called The Grid Guardian. Fox News did a piece on infrastructure security and corporate accountability. Even 60 Minutes wanted an interview, though I declined. I'm not built for that kind of attention. I'm built to make sure power flows where it needs to go when it needs to get there. The Thornfields were convicted 8 months later. Preston got 12 years in federal prison for fraud, conspiracy, and violation of the Foreign Agents Registration Act. Cordelia got 15 years for espionage, money laundering, and what the judge called breathtaking disregard for national security. During the trial, more details came out. Cordelia had been selling grid specifications, vulnerability assessments, and operational protocols to Sinogrid Technologies since 2022. The Chinese company had been paying premium prices for information about American power infrastructure, the kind of information that could be used to plan cyber attacks or identify critical weaknesses. The irony was perfect. They'd accused me of espionage while actually committing espionage themselves. Classic projection from people who assumed everyone else was as corrupt as they were. Apex Energy was restructured under new management with a renewed focus on actual competence rather than inherited privilege. The board brought in people who understood that infrastructure isn't a game. It's the foundation that everything else depends on. They instituted new hiring policies that prioritized technical expertise over family connections. They created redundant security protocols to prevent any single person from having too much control. And they kept the dead man's switch, because sometimes the best way to protect a system is to build in consequences for mismanaging it. I still carry that voltmeter pen, still check electrical fields when I'm thinking through complex problems. But these days, the problems I'm solving are bigger infrastructure investments, renewable energy integration, grid modernization projects that will keep the lights on for the next generation. The Phoenix Grid now serves as a model for other regional networks. We've implemented advanced AI monitoring, improved cybersecurity protocols, and redundant fail-safes that make the system more resilient than ever. Other utilities send their engineers to study what we've built here. But the real lesson isn't about technology, it's about people. I've hired 47 new engineers in the past year, some fresh out of college, some seasoned professionals from other companies. What they all have in common is competence. They know their stuff, they take the work seriously, and they understand that millions of people depend on them doing their jobs correctly. No more trust fund babies playing with critical infrastructure. No more MBAs who think engineering is just another department to optimize. No more people who confuse authority with expertise. The new culture at Apex Energy is simple. If you can't do the work, you don't get the job. If you can't handle the responsibility, you don't get the authority. If you can't be trusted with critical systems, you don't get access to critical systems. It's amazing how well things work when you put competent people in charge and let them do their jobs. My ex-wife Sarah stopped by last month to drop off some tax documents from our old joint accounts. She looked around my new office. Bigger than my old one, better view, actual influence over company policy. "You seem happy," she said. "Content?" I corrected. "There's a difference." "What's the difference?" "Happy is an emotion. Content is a state of being. Happy comes and goes. Content is what you get when your work matters and you're good at it." She smiled. "Very engineering of you to quantify satisfaction. Everything can be quantified if you use the right metrics. These days, my primary metric is simple. How many people have reliable power? The answer across our 8-state region is 32 million. Every day, 32 million people flip switches and trust that electricity will flow. They charge their phones, run their air conditioning, power their medical devices, and never think about the infrastructure that makes it possible. That's exactly how it should be. The Phoenix Grid runs at 99.97% reliability, now better than the national average, better than most international standards. We've prevented 4 potential cascading failures in the past year through early detection and proactive maintenance. We've integrated 2,300 megawatts of renewable energy without compromising grid stability. Sometimes the best revenge is just being good at your job when everyone else forgot why that matters. Look, here's what I learned from all this, and maybe it applies to your situation too. In every workplace, there are people who actually do the work and people who just manage the people who do the work. The people who do the work usually know more about the work than the people managing them, but the people managing them often have more political power, better connections, fancier degrees. Most of the time that system works fine. Competent managers respect competent workers, and everybody focuses on getting things done. But sometimes you run into managers who mistake authority for expertise, who think their position means they're automatically smarter than everyone below them. Those are the dangerous ones. When you encounter that kind of manager, you have 3 options. You can go along with their incompetence and hope nothing breaks. You can try to educate them and hope they listen. Or you can build systems that protect the work from the people who don't understand it. I chose option 3, and it worked out pretty well. The Phoenix Grid serves 32 million people across 8 states. Every single one of them can flip a switch and trust that the lights will come on. That's not magic. That's just competence, properly applied and adequately protected. Sometimes that's all the justice you need.